You guys are probably already familiar with this whole spiel. Again, I'm Melissa Guida Richards. I'm an adoptee, and my co host is Paige Niffer. We have created this conference to bring together a diverse array of voices in the adoption constellation. And I'm so excited to share with you. We have Michaela Periera, an award winning journalist and a friend that I am so happy to be able to share this space with again. And then we have Catelynn and Tyler Baltierra, the stars of Teen Mom, birth parents, and we are so excited to have this conversation with them. We've had other birth parents throughout the day. We've had adoptive parents, and we've had adoptees from same race adoptions, international adoptions, like anything you could think of. We've pretty much touched upon a little bit. So we are excited to have our last event of the day being with two birth parents that have been sharing their story for quite a while. So I'm going to hand things over to Michaela, but I am going to mute and turn off my video. And
your feet up for a little bit because you probably are really tired. But first of all, round of applause to both Melissa and Paige.
Yes.
Putting something together like this is such a labor of love. You've been intentional about it. You have been so conscientious about making sure there was space for all sorts of voices. I salute you both because this is not easy. So mute your camera, mute your videos, turn the cameras off, pour yourselves a glass of wine, whatever you need to do. We'll take it from here. I'm in good company with Kate and Ty. Let me tell you a little bit first about myself, because some of you are probably wondering how I got roped into this. I've been a long time broadcast journalist based out of Los Angeles. I've pivoted now. I'm doing more producing of digital content. But I often tell people that when you first meet me, within 5 minutes, you're going to find out two things about me: that I'm Canadian and that I'm adopted. And I'm equally proud and fiercely protective of both of those things, because both of them have been integral to who I am and how I move through the world and how I show up. I decided as a very young person to sort of throw off that veil of shame and secrecy that didn't feel like it was mine. It felt like society was trying to put that on me. And so I'm so glad that we are in a time now where we can be more open and vocal and talk about these things, and safe spaces are created. As I mentioned, I'm a longtime TV journalist, a storyteller, a hugger, a transracial adoptee. I was raised in a family completely formed by adoption in Canada. Our parents are white, my sisters are Indigenous, and I am mixed, Jamaican on my birth father's side, white on my late mother's side. I tell you this so that you can understand kind of where my place in the constellation is. And for years, that constellation, at least publicly in media, magazines, TV, movies, films, was largely limited to the voices of adoptive parents. Thanks to the rise of digital conversations like these, thanks to social media, we are seeing that aperture widen, right? More voices being included, more voices being centered around adoptees and around birth parents, which brings me, that was a big lead up to you two, but it needed, context matters.
Oh, yeah.
That brings me to our guests this evening. We know them as Catelynn and Tyler Baltierra, but we call them Kate and Ty, among the first reality TV figures to share their adoption journey on national TV, on the stage of the national stage. Teen Mom. Their story sparked all sorts of national conversation around open adoption, about birth parent experiences, and the emotional complexity of placing a child for adoption as teenagers. So welcome, Ty, Kate. What a joy to have you with us. Thank you so much for being willing to have a conversation with me.
No, thank you so much for having us. We've been super excited and looking forward to this. So yeah, we're happy to be here.
We're happy we're also doing this because I feel like you leading up, there's a big lead up, like you said, but it was very important because it does important. Represent where you are in the constellation, where you're coming from, and
Absolutely.
Where we're coming from. So I think it's important. So we're honored to have you kind of helping us navigate this whole thing.
As a journalist, I've always thought that the most important thing, and I use it in my regular life, is finding points of connection with people when you meet them. And we've already established a point of connection, right? So I love that. Kate, I actually want to start the conversation with you, Mama. You have, girl, You have shared a personal story with the world for so many years. What do you think people don't see? What do you think they don't see about your experience as birth parents that you wish they would understand?
I don't think people really have gotten to see the sorrow and the grief I think that birth parents carry for a life journey. I feel like, in the beginning of our journey with Teen Mom and 16 and Pregnant and all the things, like we were very much, I feel like I was very much still in like almost like a birth parent fog. I know a lot of people talk about like adoptee fog, but I do feel like I was very much in a birth mom fog where it was like everything is perfect and rainbows. And I never really could think of like the hurtful stuff, or I wouldn't stay there long and all those. And so I feel like I was constantly always talking about all the positive things on TV and people don't really, I don't think they understand. I just call it a sorrow. It's like a sorrow that I, have come to the realization that like this is going to be something that I carry for life. And I don't think people really understand that. It's like, I think people think like you relinquish a child and that you no longer love or care, or you just move on.
Yeah.
And it's like that's not accurate at all. I still, in my heart and my soul, that is a piece of me walking around in the world, like. And I think we've just recently started showing more of that. And I think that's what has gotten a lot of people talking, about it, or saying like, saying negative things or whatever. And I'm like, well, this is also another side of being a birth parent. Like it's not all rainbows and beautiful unicorns. Like, no, there is hard stuff too. And that part needs to be talked about too.
Well, and as you used the word so aptly, it is a journey, right? It is a journey. This life is long, right?
Yeah.
And you're really only in one aspect of it. Ty, how about for you? What don't people see on camera?
I honestly feel like a lot, kind of to piggyback off of what she said, I think what people don't really see is, that we felt for a long time that, it's our job almost as birth parents doing it on a national television stage, that we need to like represent it in a good way and like be really optimistic about it and almost kind of hide, how devastating it was, or that the times that we had really hard times, it was like, kind of put on a happy face and make sure that you don't show too much of it without showing the good side too. So I feel like for us, it was just one of those things where people see what we were trying to do for the adoption industry itself, I think, because I think people don't understand that we were hired by our adoption agency to go speak for a year across the country about how amazing it was.
It was even more than a year.
It was, and it was tough because we felt like we had to just kind of grieve in silence. And so I think that part never really got explored as deeply as it could have been throughout all the years on TV, because even times that we would talk about the sorrow, they would always kind of like end the scene or the episode with like, a picture.
Trying to put a bow on it.
Yeah. And it was like, and that's the part that really just kind of, that people I don't think really understand, that it is a lifelong grieving journey and process. And so a lot of misunderstanding about it.
I think I have one more thing to add too about what is not so, like what they don't show on camera. Also too, like with all of our children becoming older and knowing who their sister is and that, like, I don't feel like the cameras show that a lot. They don't see the effects that it has on your children that you decide, that you parent. Like, our middle child, every single night when I put her to bed, every night she tells me like, I really miss her. Like, can't she come and spend the night one day? And like, I want to share a bed with her. And like, like they don't talk about like it affects everybody involved.
Kate, how does that feel when your child says that?
It's hard. It is so hard. And I just try to tell her like, I understand. I know I miss her too. And I hope one day that she can, and she's 6. So it's like you try to explain things as like a child.
A 6-year-old can understand.
Right. But I don't think people think, people don't really think about how it affects everybody involved.
Yeah.
And
I think they just expect you kind of, like I said, to get over it. And it's like, we hear all the time, like, well,
It's not a dentist appointment.
I know, it's like, just get over it, get over it. And it's like, guys, it's not something you ever truly get over.
No.
And it's going to be a lifelong thing. So
isn't it interesting that we will recognize the trauma of an adoptee? I mean, granted, we're only just beginning to have these conversations, right? But like, we will acknowledge that the trauma that is in the body of a child that is relinquished, yet we won't give the same grace to birth parents.
Yeah, I think it's because though people look at birth parents no matter what age they are. Oh, well, you're an adult. You made an adult decision. You made a mistake. You know that led you to this crisis pregnancy, and so they automatically
judgment, isn't there?
They label you automatically as an adult, and it's like, well, no, we were 16-year-old children,
right?
So
right.
Yeah,
right. You know, and it strikes me also too, like this would be enough of a situation for you to have to navigate. And then they put cameras in your face, right? So look, I think we're all hip to the fact that the lack of reality in reality TV. Your story was curated, it was produced, it was made for television. So maybe it's important to sort of peel back that curtain for people that may have only seen your story on TV. How different was what we saw in camera from your lived experience?
I do have to say, with 16 and Pregnant, when it was just an hour-long episode of just our story, it wasn't heavily produced. It was definitely more of a docu-series.
A documentary.
And honestly, what you guys saw, that was all real. All of it was real. It was how we were really feeling. They missed some things because, I mean, you don't live with the cameras for 24 hours, 7 days a week. They weren't there when I was getting close to deliver and I was freaking out and having anxiety, and I kind of switched my mind and I called Tyler up and I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it. I want a parent. Like, I just can't do it. And he was very supportive and like, hey, we will figure it out. Like, if you feel like you can't do this, like, we will do whatever we need to and whatever is necessary. And so they weren't there to catch that, which I think is very important.
You're right.
I think there's probably a lot of birth parents that, your mind is flip-flopping all the time,
I'm sure.
Well, and at least for me, it was like I was constantly flip-flopping, but at that time, getting close to delivery, I was like, no, I'm not doing it. And so, yeah, like there were some things that they did miss, but that was like so accurate. And I
think as the time went on, though, I think Teen Mom turned into.
That's what I was going to continue saying too, but once you start adding more people into an hour-long episode, and you have all these different stories and all these different moving pieces, it is harder to fully get a picture of somebody's life and what's going on when you have so many moving pieces and so many people to talk about.
There's not room for nuance, right? There's not room for context always because they're, shorter episodes. I'm curious for you, Ty, is how the framing of your story, how it at that time as a young man and as a young birth father, how did that affect you as you saw yourself, a partner to Kate at the time, a father, and now do you reflect on that as the man you are now, looking back to see what you felt about yourself at that time?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, me and Kate, we don't ever watch the show, so
you remember those times.
And I actually think that I always say this, that the show has a lot of it's complicated our lives in a lot of ways, but it's also just been a blessing in a lot of other ways, and I feel like that's one of them, because I think the cameras and kind of having this hyper focused little microscope, vision of our lives, it does force you to kind of look at yourself and self-reflect in ways that you maybe not have done if it wasn't for being on TV and stuff. So I do think it kind of helped character development in a way, because it makes you it forces you to look at your mistakes. And like I tell Kay all the time, I said, a lot of people from the age of 16 years old, when we started to share our lives on TV, up until, early adulthood, you make a lot of mistakes. Ours just happen to be cemented in history on TV.
Right.
And watched by millions.
Yeah. So in a way, that part makes it different. but on the other end of the spectrum, it's like it's a good self-reflective kind of tool.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, and especially when I was on television, is that whatever issue you have, whatever insecurity you have, whatever, whatever, the camera only magnifies it. So you better get real comfortable with yourself, right? You better get real comfortable with yourself. Kate, you had mentioned it a little bit before about struggling with a decision and waffling. I think it's really interesting what a natural condition that is, to play the woulda, coulda, shoulda. Is that something that stayed with you? Do you find yourself playing that tape, replaying that tape, replaying that decision, or have you sort of come to accept the reality?
I definitely have. I've come to accept the reality. Now, to say that there isn't moments in time where it comes up sometimes where I do think about it, absolutely. And I think that's natural. I mean, even like the last time we saw her, and she's like taller than me and she's like a teenager, and I kept catching myself looking at her and be like, oh my gosh, like if we were parenting, this big kid would be with me like all the time, and it's like I feel like it has a lot of bittersweet moments. You know what I mean? And it's bittersweet because it's like she's just an amazing kid and she's got, an amazing life and whatever. But then it's on the other coin too. It's like, but I miss out on that. I miss out on this beautiful human, and I miss out on just getting to know her on a deeper level. And that's the hard part, the sad part. So yeah.
Are there things you wish you had known earlier on?
Lots.
Oh, lots.
Share what you feel comfortable. What are some things that
I feel like I wish I was more educated about the effects that it has on adopted children. Like, you're not told about the suicide rates, the addiction rates, the identity issues or crises that they have,
attachment issues.
The attachment issues and all those things. And, you're not educated about the cortisol levels rising in an infant because you take it from the mother and they can't smell you, and like all the things that go on when they're just even an hour old, like all of those things you're not talked about. And I remember the first time, like when I started getting out of my birth parent fog, I call it, I was listening to like these adoptee books and adoption books, and they're bringing up all these statistics. And I remember hearing about like just newborns, okay, and just hearing what their little bodies and minds go through. I remember calling Tyler and being like, I was mad. I was angry that I wasn't educated about it. I don't remember ever being educated about how, if you relinquish a child, it could lead to future anxiety disorders, depression, suicidal ideations, just mental health illnesses. There's so much that we weren't educated about. Like I'm sure you can add.
Well, yeah, and I also think one thing we weren't educated about, or that we wish we would have known, is that we were kind of a part of a very big industry machine, and we just we looked at it back then as being like this awesome saving grace kind of thing that we're gonna not really realizing though that it's a big it's a multi-billion-dollar industry that we're the ones that are providing a part to get that machine keep rolling. And so I think just we wish we would have had more transparency from the adoption industry, and also from mental health professionals that know what adoptees go through, and also what birth mothers go through when they get older. Because I feel like a lot of this came to fruition when we decided to have our own children and parent them. And so, there we are with this newborn, and Kate's having postpartum depression, not realizing why she has it or what's going on. And it's like, come to find out, I mean, it has, being a parent who relinquished has a huge part to play in that. And so just knowing all those things, it feels like we almost kind of got betrayed by this thing that was supposed to be a beautiful thing. Yeah. And yeah.
And also too, I mean, I could keep going for hours, I feel like, about it.
We got time, girl.
But and other things too is like, we didn't have any outside legal people to be there when we were literally children signing papers.
You were Teenagers.
Yeah,
right?
and so it's like, and I mean outside legal help, like a lawyer that is
Yeah,
not connected to the adoption
Yeah.
agency, that is
Your
not,
lawyers, right?
yes,
Yeah.
like, you know, nobody ever says like, you know, you could get your own lawyer help or like any of those things, or like, why didn't any adult say like, you, before you sign anything, we're getting you help, or, you know, we're getting you a lawyer or something
Right.
of that nature. Also too, it's like, I feel like as birth parents, I feel like I was lied to by a lot of people. And, you know, we come in there as two 16-year-old children who, you know, our images of like parents and stuff is not very good. Like, we don't have, at that time, like, there's a lot of addiction, there's fighting, there's just instability, there's all of these things going on. And so we go there, and of course we're like, all right, well, we want better for our child. And, you know, so then we find a couple, and we're like, it was completely, and when I'm saying like completely different than our lives, it was like a culture shock, like completely different. And then, you know, we're 16 and we're meeting with these 37, 40-year-old people, and they're telling you all these things. And as children, we're like, well, these are great adults. Why? They're not going to lie to us. They're, of course, what they're saying, they're going to keep all these promises.
There was a certain amount of naivete.
Yeah, it's like, they're amazing and they're great adults and look at everything that they have. Of course, they're going to let us see her every year. Of course, they're never going to cut us off. Of course, they're going to, you know what I mean? All these things.
And I think that maybe in subconsciously in a way of us being so young, it was like, gosh, I wish they were our parents. Like, I wish we had a life like that. So I think it just contributed to like this kind of just fantasy that they kind of, you know, give to the birth parents coming into these meetings. It's like, here's this fantasy, and it could be all yours right now. And yeah.
And you know, you don't really understand about how like it's not legally binding. Like, they could cut you off the next day after you place them, and there's nothing you can do about it, even if they did make you all these promises. And so yeah, it's just, there's a lot.
I imagine having to work through some of those trust issues was like a major part of the work you've been doing over the last while.
Yeah, I feel like it's gonna be a long journey.
Look, I think it will be, because I think, you know, when you look at the effect it has had, not only on your lives, on your daughter's lives, on your children's lives, right? And then the constellation around you, of course, it reaches that trauma reaches. I want to talk about sort of this notion of being public facing, right, in this social media world and landscape that we reside in. How do you two, we had a bit of conversation about this earlier this afternoon. How do you two decide what you share publicly versus what you keep private when it comes to your emotions, your family, your ongoing relationship with your daughter?
That's a good question. I feel like me and Kate are just so like,
we're very open.
We're
Maybe
so
we're too
open.
open.
Yeah, maybe
I
we're
don't
like,
know.
maybe we're too open, but like we also felt like when we decided to do the TV show, it was like, listen, if we're gonna sign this and be a part of this and kind of jump into this world, then we need it. We owe it to ourselves and everybody watching to be authentic, to just be as transparent as possible. So when it comes to stuff that like, oh, keeping private or hiding, it didn't really exist for us, because we were like, here's everything, you know, here's our parents, here's our issues, here's our mental health, here's all of it.
Has that been detrimental to you, or has it actually worked and it's been fine?
I don't think it's been detrimental. Because I feel like if you're constantly trying to hide things about yourself and stuff, and you might slip up and then you're freaking out about it. Like, I would rather just live authentically of who I am. And I get it a lot. Like, when people come and meet us, they're like, oh my God, you're exactly like how you are on TV. And I'm like, well, I would hope so, because I literally share everything, you know, like.
But does that become different with your kids? Like, do you sort of set parameters up about what you'll share about your kids? Do you set guide rails?
Yeah, there's boundaries.
We had to kind of implement new boundaries once we started having children on TV. And then we started kind of like, all right, listen, like there are certain things that we like, for instance, our oldest, like she chooses, like we don't ever make our kids like do certain, like she's at the age where she's autonomy. So she says, hey, I don't want to wear a mic today. Yeah, I might want to be on camera today. And we're like, I look at the producer like, hey, You heard her. She
Yeah.
said, "Hey, no mic, no
Yeah.
nothing," so I think as we get older, as our kids get older, we kind of give them the freedom. And I even our youngest, she's 4, but if she's having a bad day or a meltdown or whatever, it's like we step in and go, "Hey, cameras, like, no, she's gonna go in her little playroom. She's gonna,
Right.
she's good."
And
So
an audio guy, I don't care if you can hear the TV or the movie,
Yeah.
but she's watching Trolls,
Yeah.
and we're gonna leave her alone, you know? Like,
Yeah.
there's definitely boundaries
Mhm.
for sure.
You've talked a lot, and because you have been open, and it sounds as though this is both of you. It's not one of you saying we're going to be open and the other one's just going along. It seems like both of you have just decided this is the way we want to show up. Am I
Mhm.
right?
Oh
Yeah.
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 And
You've
also,
been
I feel like a big part of it is too, is like when you are really like authentic, especially in this type of world, I feel like it can help a lot of people. It helps people not feel alone in certain
Sure.
instances. And in turn has helped me not feel alone many times too.
Mhm.
And I think that's important.
Right,
Yeah.
right. You've been open about therapy
Mhm.
and the fact that you're working through, trying to find healing. Share with us a little bit about what has maybe helped you process the sorrow you talked about, the grief, the weight of the complexity of adoption while being in the public eye, right? Because,
Yeah.
it's one thing to be able to, like, I need a moment and go off but when you are doing it publicly, does that harm your ability? Do you struggle with working through those things when there's a camera there?
No, I think again, just being so open too. I mean, there's times where, you know, like even this past season that we filmed, a lot of anger would come out because grief sometimes comes out in anger. So sometimes I would see clips and I'm like, oh man, I shouldn't have said that. I was so angry, or whatever. But at the end of the day, that's really what birth parents are probably feeling sometimes. And that's just the reality of it. But I think really for me, what has helped me the most, like, yeah, therapy is amazing. I'm always for therapy, but what has helped me more than therapy is connecting with other birth moms, even birth moms who are way ahead of me, like their children are, late 30s, 40s. So talking with other birth moms, talking with adoptees, like that has healed me even more, I feel.
What are those conversations like? Tell me about those.
Just like with birth moms, I'm like, just being able to relate on a different level. There's not a lot of therapists, especially where we're at, that are, birth parents or adoptees or, things of that nature. And it's hard. Nobody truly can understand what you're saying unless they're a part of it or they've been through it. And
Mhm.
it's just different when you talk to a birth mom, they really get it. And so it's just all sorts of things. I will talk to them about my feelings, like the sorrow feeling and the PTSD, that stuff, your PTSD that comes whenever it wants to and brings up these feelings. And they feel the same things and they just give me words of advice. And it's just a different type of healing because they truly get it.
And I think, and also as when we were younger, we realized that, okay, we were surrounded by addiction and just dysfunction, evictions, etc. And so we thought, okay, we definitely unfortunately can't raise the baby in this. So I think we made a really early decision when we were younger, like we gotta do something. I don't want to be another statistic. I don't want to be another, drug addict son of a drug addict dad. And I don't want to be any of these things. So I think we made a conscious decision to like get in therapy early. I want to say we got in the year right after we placed. I mean, by 17, we were in therapy. And I think it was important because we both knew like we didn't want the grief and sorrow to be for nothing. And so it's like, okay, listen, if we couldn't raise her here, then we need to make ourselves get to a point emotionally and just on a healing perspective. So that way, when we do have kids in the future, that we're more, capable and more well-rounded and just more, just more healed, really. So I think we always say that our daughter really, she has no idea the ripple effect that she's had on multiple generations in our family, multiple lives, and not only just in our own family unit, but just nationally on TV as well. Like she's changed a lot of lives without even knowing it. So
Maybe someday she'll get to know that.
I hope
yeah,
so.
we hope so. Yeah.
I was just letting that land on me because adoptees need to hear that.
Yeah.
Adoptees need to hear that, because I think so much of the time we're thinking about, at least for me, it is the sorrow that I carry for my birth mother and the resentment perhaps that I may carry for my birth father, whatever these stories, because by the way, these are formed as these are childhood stories. I'm 55 years old now, you know what I mean? So like I've spent my life unpacking these ideas that were formed in childhood to try and see now, what the truth is, and do they serve me, and what can I let go of, what can I heal from, what can I forgive, what can I, no longer claim ownership over. So I understand what you're saying. So sorry, I just had to share that from my heart, because this is what this day is about for me, and this is why I came, is we're no longer having to hide. And I'm sure there are people that criticize you guys, and I know
Yeah.
you've dealt with your negative press, but I have to say, you are helping normalize these conversations. People may not agree with reality TV or the way you're doing or whatever, how you parent, it doesn't matter, right? We know that not everybody's going to like everything we do. But I have to say, you're normalizing something that has been a reality for many, many people, many families, many children, many couples. So thank you. Thank you.
Well, I think that I want to say thank you, because I feel like it's important that birth parents and adoptees have these conversations, because people watching or whatever, it's important to know that, this isn't something that is, you're never really alone in it, even though it feels
Right.
so isolating. And I understand that it does, but it's like, at the end of the day, it's just, it's ripple effects on everybody. And I think there's a reason why me and Kate, relinquish a baby on TV. There's a reason why multiple people write us on the daily telling us how much, they learn from us, or how they, I think one of the best parts that I love is when adoptees write me and say, thank you so much, because I always wondered if my birth parents ever even thought about me, or if they ever tried to find me. And I just feel like, even if it's not true, you sharing your real grief and sorrow and journey, it helped me. Like,
there's something that happens. There's a little bit of retroactive healing in there. It's true. It's true. I'm kind of feeling this. I was at a conference years ago. And a woman came up to me after I'd shared my adoption story. And I don't even believe this. It wasn't an adoption conference. The topic ended up kind of pivoting to adoption.
As it does.
As it does. Like, we do that. We're like Velcro, right? And this woman just came up afterwards, because I talked about the anguish that I had felt that my birth mother had been ill with cancer, was dying for 6 years, and never told a soul about me.
Oh.
Wow.
And I think I was about in my early 30s at that time. And I was still feeling the pain and grief and the weight of that. And so I shared this very raw story, which I normally wouldn't do, but something had happened that just kind of made us all a very organic moment. Later on, it ended up being this really beautiful day. Later on, this older woman, probably, the age of like in her 70s, came up and gave me this giant hug and whispered in my ear. And I know she wasn't talking to me, but she was talking to me. She said, know that we would have kept you if we could. Know that I think about you every day.
Oh, wow.
Know that I've prayed for, and like, I'm just sitting here holding this woman's pain and grief. She was 70. Imagine how long she had been carrying that, right?
Wow.
So these moments, I think, you sharing your story on TV, you allowing the cameras in, opening your hearts. Again, maybe people don't agree, but the fact that you're doing it is widening the aperture on these conversations. I think that needs to be said, because it really is hitting me in this moment. I want to know about the two of you. Are there any times you seem like a couple that's kind of in lockstep on this stuff? Tell me about this evolution, right? Because you were kids, you were babies. Now you can look back and be like, we were babies.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You could have told them at 16, nobody could have told you nothing.
No.
Right.
Now looking back, because I remember being a knucklehead 16-year-old too. But looking back now, you realize And look at the evolution you've had. Take us on that journey a little bit about how this relationship has been and how you've worked through things.
Mm.
It's been a long journey. It's
It
definitely,
has.
yeah.
I mean, because
That's the word of the day, isn't it?
Yeah, it is,
Journey.
yeah, journey, yeah.
I mean, because we started dating before cameras were ever involved, so even longer than before the cameras, you know. So it's been a very long time. We have been together for 17 years. It'll be
18. Oh yeah, it'll
18.
be 18. Yeah, yeah.
But so we've been together for 17 years, married for 10 years. And, you know, and then, you know, you throw a unplanned pregnancy in it and adoption and mental health and all of the things, like it has been a journey,
Yeah.
100%.
But I think one thing that it's interesting, because I think if it wasn't for the way our journey unfolded, like I don't even know if Kate would have ever like got the courage to go to inpatient treatment to really face her issues head on if we didn't have this big grand scope of, hey, like something's wrong. Like I think if we would have been not on TV and kind of and stayed in our little family dynamic, I don't know if anyone would have really push that, or like, you know what I mean? So I think there's a lot of like the evolution, I think, really started from us relinquishing when it comes to like evolving emotionally and just trying to grow up kind of quicker than any of our other peers. So I remember when we were younger, right after relinquishing, we tried to go to a party. We tried, because everyone's advice was jump back into your normal teenage life, try to be normal. And we were like, oh, okay, we'll try. And we went to a party and we just looked at each other and we were just like, this doesn't feel the same.
You can't unknow what you just lived through and pretend everything is now back to normal.
Yeah. And so I think in little moments like that, me and Kate looked at each other and then we just went home and we cried and we were upset and we were like, you know, it forever changes you. Adoption, I don't care what part you are in the constellation, it changes you forever.
Yes.
You will never be the same after having this experience.
And I think we are blessed too, because, you know, just from us relinquishing, I feel like that can either bring somebody, they can either bring you super close, or it probably can tear a lot of people apart, you know.
Yeah.
With any type of grief that you go through.
Yes. I've heard that yes, I've heard about that any loss of a child, a relinquishment of a child, it can, but it also, you know, it can really bring you together because you've had to battle whatever it was together, to fight through it together, to move through it together, to grieve together.
And well, and you know, and we were each other's safe place. And we still are that. And we were, you know, he could understand what I was talking about and I could understand what he was talking about and going through. And also too, people think we're just this awesome couple that never had any issues or nothing. Right. And it's like, no, therapy again. Therapy. We have done lots of therapy. We have done individual therapy. We have done couples therapy. And I feel like with any relationship, you can either grow together, especially being together for 17 years. Because people do, you grow, you change, you might change your outlooks on certain things or whatever. And we have really grown together in that.
And we've given each other grace, I think. I think it's important, but we've given each other grace as we've evolved. So like, you know, you're not going to be the same person I fell in love with 5 years ago. And I think people get that confused. It's like, no, we're constantly evolving and changing. So if you guys are constantly checking in with each other and making sure, which we did, you know, it feels organic and natural. And so I feel like if it wasn't for us being birth parents, I don't know how long it would have took us to start our therapeutic, you know, journey of healing and really kind of involved in therapy. We just realized like, wow, our lives were not normal. Like, you know, right. I mean, when you're raised in toxicity and addiction, you just kind of think everyone's life is like this certain way
until you're removed from it.
And then you have some therapist looking at you and saying, hey, you know, that was pretty traumatic, right? And we're like, oh, it was like, you don't. So then I think that, you know, just that self-reflection is like forced on you. And then you go, okay, wow, like we got to change this. So because we loved each other so much, and we made a commitment to each other. It's like, we have other children.
We need and that's the part right there, right? So it's one thing to heal and to work through the relinquishment and what that means for each of you, to allow that grief to heal, but then to say as a couple, let's have a family. How do we parent these children was there, I want to ask this with grace, was there a feeling at times that you'd look at those children and think, why couldn't we have had all of them here?
Oh, absolutely.
All the time.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Yeah.
And I think any birth parent who has, because that's one thing that we wish we would have known, is that people don't understand that they never talk to you about, just choosing to parent after relinquishing. And it's a really big, it can be a really big PTSD trigger for a lot of people that you don't even realize you have. And so I think it would be, we always talk about it. We always look in the back seat of our car and be like, there would be one extra, one extra person there. And so I think it's one of those things where you can't really ever escape that thought.
And I think it goes back to like what I was talking with you in the beginning of that just, it's only like the sorrow that just comes up in random ways for the rest of your life.
It's a grief. And I think people need to understand that one thing that people don't understand about being a birth parent or adoption in general is that you can't have it without grief and loss. Adoption doesn't exist.
There is a separation. There is a cleaving, right?
So you cannot, adoption can't exist without grief and loss. And I feel like, it's a really kind of crazy thing to grieve the loss of a child who's still living. And so I think that and not only the loss of a child that's still living, but still growing. And just it's a very complicating, nuanced, complex thing that you have to like constantly go through. And so the grief is never ending. So we always have thoughts about
it's just
them
changing.
together.
It's just always changing. It's never ending.
Yeah. I wonder, Kate, what you have done to perhaps set up boundaries or even self-care practices that have been really important about making sure you stay okay and stay well and keep your mental state well, because this is a lot, right?
Yeah.
First of all, parenting's a lot. Let's just let's just own that. That's a lot. There's a lot of worries, especially in a modern world, right? And then you add being a public facing family, and then you add the weight of the loss of relinquishment. What do you do? Are there self-care practices that you're willing to share with people that may be listening or listening to the recording about, taking care of yourself?
I feel like I'm definitely a big book person, more of like a listening to books now that I have children, but I do like to listen to certain books, and I like to listen to like what helps me feel good too is like I was saying about just like adoptees' perspectives on things help me a lot. Again, too, just like talking with my friends, being with my girlfriends. But also I think another part that has healed a part of me, like even though it's hard and it can bring up things, is being a mom. Not even like being a birth mom, but also just being a mom. I feel like it's harder for me to take things for granted because I already know of all the things that I missed out on. And so I'm the type of mom where it's like I don't sweat the small stuff. You want to play in the glue, I guess play in the glue. I will play in the glue with you. You know what I mean? I mean, yeah, like you said, parenting is hard. It's got a chokehold on me right now for sure. But that has also been really healing. But I think it was healing after being in therapy and working through the trauma, of relinquishing. But my girls have really healed me a lot.
And also
allow yourself to be a mother and to be present in that motherhood or present in that fatherhood without always feeling like some sense of guilt. The should have, I could have, shame on me, like letting go of that, I suppose.
Yeah, and like those do come up sometimes, but I try not to sit in it,
Yeah.
Like, I had a therapist tell me too, like, it's okay to sit in the mud for a minute, feel your feelings, let it all out. But then after you're done sitting in the mud, go take a shower, stand
Yeah.
up.
Off the mud.
Yeah, and then we're gonna go on, you know what I mean? And
yeah, it's actually funny because her going to therapy and then her going to inpatient, and then they had this thing called family week, and that's where I learned that my job isn't to always throw the rope to pull her out of the mud. My job is sometimes to get in the mud and just sit with her and don't say a word. And so I think
We want to
that's
be fixers, right? When we
Yeah,
see a person
yeah.
we love in pain, we want to make the pain go away,
Yep.
right? But sometimes they need to feel it,
Yep.
acknowledge it, you know, and then let it go.
Yeah, and that's honestly one of the best things that I heard a person say, like, you know, when she's crying, don't immediately go try to let her not cry anymore. Just hold her while she cries, or just sit. So it's like sitting in the mud with her. Don't try to pull her out of the mud. Just sit in it.
That's a good
with her
image.
for a second. And I feel like we're escaping over the fact that she's put in so much work that I think she's being a little humble right now because she put herself in treatment multiple times. And so for her to talk about,
okay.
Go ahead, Papa. Go ahead.
So for her to have to leave her babies to go into inpatient treatment, so she can be a better mom, after experiencing relinquishing, that's huge. And I think that it was a huge part of our whole family healing. And I think that you know, she's just a lot stronger than she likes to put out there, in my opinion. So sorry.
Okay,
Don't ever apologize for having feelings.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I think I please don't apologize. Please know that these tears come because there is love and feeling and emotion inside. And to be perfectly honest, we need to create more space. We need to create more space for men to do that and for birth fathers to do that, right?
Yeah, I just feel like she's so humble sometimes that it's like, no, I mean, for a woman to put herself in treatment, to leave her children,
I know,
to be a better, so to separate herself from her children, to be a better mom,
right?
I mean, that takes immense strength. And I think it's something that if she never was, if she never was a birth mom, would we ever have gotten to a point where going to treatment was a real thing that helped us break all these cycles for our kids now? So,
but I think,
yeah.
but I do think that unfortunately, but fortunately, me being a birth mom is what sent me to inpatient treatment. Because there was all these things that, you know, I didn't know where they were coming from. And it was that one of those places that made me realize my adoption was trauma. Up until that point, I never looked at it as being traumatic.
Yeah. Which is also a big thing that people don't realize, that, like, you know, we went to therapy. We were in therapy for probably 5 or 6 years before she went to inpatient treatment. And it was the first time someone looked at us and said, hey, you know, being a birth parent, you experience a really immense trauma. And it was like, it took that.
Did that feel like permission in a way? Like finally somebody like.
No, and not even, it blew my mind.
Yeah.
It blew my mind.
Yeah.
And it was the first time that because she pointed it out and she said, every time you talk about it, you always say it's really hard and sometimes it's really sad, I miss her, but she's so happy and she's got this great life and yada yada. And so she would stop me and she would say, you know, she was the one that told me, no, this was a traumatic experience. And up until that point, I never looked at it like that. And she was the first therapist in my life that was like, quit doing the butt, stop the butt. She's like, it's hard. Sometimes it sucks.
Yes.
Sometimes I'm sad. She's like, sit in that for a minute, because I would never want to feel those feelings, you know? And I remember I called Tyler that night.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you're in jail, but you're not. You have like a little card and you got to upload minutes to it to call home. And I go and I call him and I'm like, and I tell him about it. Our adoption was trauma. Like, how come I never looked at it that way? Why weren't we educated about it that way? You know, like,
I think it represents a society thing though, because it's like you hear the term adoption is beautiful, adoption is selfless, adoption is God's
because it has been framed.
But you
think about it.
Never hear adoption is trauma.
It has been centered around this idea of family planning and less around the experience of the child, right? or the family that has relinquished. It's usually it was seen as these things of how family planning. This is how you could. We've always wanted a child. We can't have children. This is what we'll do. This is the solution. And so it was always painted in this kind of light.
Mhm.
And it really, it wasn't until adoptees started to grab the microphone and say, "Excuse me."
Yeah.
Right.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
People like Melissa, people
Which
like
I'm so thankful
April.
for.
Yeah.
Like, I think as a birth mom,
Same.
like, I'm so thankful for adoptees speaking.
Mhm.
That has been, honestly, it's been the adoptees that have gotten me out of my birth parent fog and have really taught me a lot of things.
I love hearing that.
No, it has been so healing for me. I
Mhm.
don't think anybody will ever understand that. Like, it has been so healing and so educating for me. And I feel like when our adoption got closed recently, that's what spoked this fire within us of like, now I want to know all of their stories. I want to know everything. I want to know, even if you had the most amazing or the worst, I want to know it all. And I want to know what we can do different. I want to educate people about it. I want them to be able to share their stories and, just learn, because stuff has got to change.
Stuff has got to change. By the way, it doesn't change without having some uncomfortable conversations,
Mhm.
Yep.
without speaking about it, and then also doing things, which is great. And it takes all of us, right? It takes us healing, it takes us examining, it takes us, knocking on doors, it takes us shaking the system and requiring our leaders to do better. It takes all of us. And not everybody has the tools to do any of those things. Some of them are just trying to figure it out for themselves, right? Heal a child within. So all of us are part of it, right? All of us are part of it. What are the stories that stick with you from the people? Because I know people come to you, they open up to you, they share with you. You've talked, Kate, about how much that means to you when you can talk to other birth moms. I'm sure there's stories that stick with you. Do you have any that have sort of been, I don't know, a bit of a North Star to you, or that have stuck on your heart?
I mean, yeah, like, I have a friend of mine who, her biological son, kind of like same thing, like they didn't talk for a while, and then as he got older, just really they're so close now and they have a great relationship. And her biological son is they're super close, their sibling is now, and certain things that definitely give you hope. But then there's other stories that you hear of that just make you so sad.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, because I mean, there's definitely the stories that like are really hopeful, but I think one of the big ones that stuck with me after me and Kate decided to start talking about the real feelings we have around adoption is that, these adoptees are writing to us saying, thank you so much for, sharing your emotions and your feelings. And you're really just representing the fight for your child, because I went to go look for my birth parents when I turned 18 and felt I was safe enough to do so, and they were already gone.
Yeah, those are hard.
And one of the stories wrote me, and they said that they found their birth mother, and she literally died like 2 weeks before finding her. And she wrote me saying, now I will never have that. And so watching you guys, it does something. And so it's like, I think those stories, I think that's what really me and Kate were like, oh my gosh, like we need to help these adoptees speak, or give them because I feel like they're just screaming and no one's hearing anything. So if we have this, platform that we've been blessed with, like, I think it is our duty as birth parents really to give them that voice. And like you said, you guys have taken the mic. I'm over here like throwing the mic. Like it's so important, because not only have adoptees helped us understand things and we're healing for us, but I want the rest of the world to get that same kind of connection and healing, and just spark the conversation.
And I mean, and I know Ty will agree with me here too. And in my opinion, the adoptees are the only ones that matter. Their voices are the ones that are most important, because those are the main people affected. Like, I mean, I feel like everybody's affected in it, but the adoptees are what takes the brunt of it. And so I'm like, they're all saying these certain things and nobody's changing anything. And it's like, hello, Don't you see
Yeah.
what's going on? Don't you hear what these people are saying?
Or they're
Like,
prioritizing adoptive parents instead, and
yes,
it's like,
drives
why?
us
It's like the
nuts.
wrong people are at the top of this priority list, and it's driving me nuts. Like,
Well, you know, the thing that what it really occurs to me is that adoptees are the only ones that didn't have a choice in the matter.
There you
exactly.
go.
Yeah.
It's something that happened to them. They didn't get to choose. I want to know what your kids now have taught you both about love, about healing, about identity, because kids teach us.
Mhm.
Oh, yes, they do.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They also test us, but I'm talking about them teaching us.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think children are some of the best teachers, and I think honestly, a lot of adults, if we could just shut off our crazy filters that we've been, society's forced on us. Kids are so smart, they're fluid, they're unapologetic. They have a different type of wisdom to them than I think us adults do, because they're not they're not molded by the world so much yet. And so, I mean, I learn stuff from my kids all the time. And I think the main thing that my kids teach me is just like patience, also to be present, because they operate at a different frequency than we do. So like they remind me all the time, I don't care about, having to get the dishes done. They're playing Barbie. So I'm just going to get on the floor and play Barbie. Like, it's so like, cause they're not going to play Barbie forever. And I think that intertwines with being a birth father and a birth parent in general, knowing what I didn't get to do with my daughter. So it's like those things all coming together. I mean, I get lessons daily, even if I don't want them all the time. So,
and I think our children that we are parenting have taught me, like, different ways of being a mom. Like, I'm very much of like, if I mess up, I make sure I say sorry to them and we have a conversation about it, because all parents mess up and do something. Also, I feel like our children have taught us that kids are really smart, and that when we do have conversations with them and explain things at an age appropriate level, they really understand it, and that it's good to have those types of conversations. It's rewarding and beautiful and crazy sometimes.
yeah, but I also think that, like you said, learning about love, I mean, I think if it wasn't for us relinquishing at 16, I think that, I mean, that to love so deeply and so hard, and then having to like say goodbye and like cut it off, like actually, like really, I always talk about, it's like you're forcing your mind and body to go against nature. And I think people don't understand how hard and how polarizing that is in the mind and the spirit and everything. So I feel like that experience really taught us that unconditional love is always unconditional love, and that sometimes that requires sacrifice. But I mean, I think at the end of the day, it's like it taught us everything about love.
Yeah, and I think that's why, and I think it goes to why we are very affectionate parents. We're very open parents to an age appropriate level. We're very honest parents. I think it has shaped, it has shaped a lot of the ways that we are parents now.
I want to let people know that we're going to give you an opportunity to ask some questions here, and we're going to ask you to put them in the chat. You can start formulating your questions now, but I want to ask you, Kate, I'm giving you a magic wand. What changes would you like to see in how adoption stories, and especially birth parents, are portrayed? Wave a magic wand. What would it look like?
How birth parents are portrayed. I would like for people to know that I think going back to what we said before, that just because we relinquish doesn't mean that we don't care and that we don't love these children and that we don't think about them on the daily, because that's just not false. Also, this weird idea that, if you relinquish a child, you are not allowed to ever have children again in the future. Like, I feel like that's a weird thing in our culture. But I think but also too, like, not even just like what people think of birth parents. I want just changes to happen. I wish that there were more resources given to these people who are making a permanent decision on, most of the time, a temporary problem or struggle. Just help. I feel like for me, for instance, like I was only 16, yes, but you know, I think to myself sometimes if there were different resources, if I could have gotten out of, you know, my toxic household and knew that I could finish school and still be a mom and, you know, all the things, like if I would have just had a little bit of support, I probably would have made a different decision. And that's lacking a lot
Yeah.
for birth parents. What is it? Like they say that most people that are relinquishing a child only need about 1,000, what is it?
Like, yeah,
1,000
between
to
like
5,000.
yeah, between like $2,000 to $5,000 to that would have been the difference to not relinquish a child, which I think is crazy because that only goes to show how we are failing these women in crises. Like we're failing them, and it's crazy because I really like if the same question to me, if I had a magic wand, it would be all unnecessary adoptions don't happen. Like, and I think if to not have an option to make it not necessary is usually resources. And I think that's really
And
where
I think back to where we were, you know, we're when we were making the decision to kind of go back on like what I wish I would have known. Like we were never given like, hey, if you decide to parent, this place will help you with, you know, housing, or this place will help you with diapers, or, you know, never. I never got anything like that. It was always, you know, the best thing, sometimes the best thing you can do is to let go and say goodbye. And, you know,
Says who?
yeah,
right. You know what I mean? So yeah.
If we could wave a magic wand, it would be literally be adoption wouldn't be necessary. Society wouldn't need it. So that would be me.
You know, it's interesting because I love hearing that, and I wish that in a way too. In my own situation, I know I was put exactly where I needed to be. I can say that now. You couldn't have told me that. I wouldn't have felt that way as a 10-year-old, as a 20-year-old, even a 30 or 40-year-old. I know now that I was exactly where I needed to be. These things are complicated. They are, and they're
It is
nuanced.
complicated because like, and it's kind of with what you're saying about, you know, this is exactly where you needed to be. I mean, there is times too where me and Ty do think to ourselves, like, you know, our daughter was meant to come here for a reason. And I feel like destiny does, as cliche as it is, I feel like destiny works in mysterious ways. And
there's some method to it, right?
Yeah,
right. And we always say, like, maybe she was, you know, she was meant to come in this way and we were supposed to be this young. So maybe she was supposed to teach her parents something in life, and maybe that's why
teach the world. I mean, we always talk about it, that we really feel like her soul's journey was meant to come into this world in this way, regardless of all the trauma and pain that surrounds it. This is part of her journey. So I think as she gets older and we get older as birth parents, we're like, let this journey do its thing. And I have faith and I have trust in her spiritual wisdom that she will follow this journey to where it needs to be. And hopefully she'll end up being, you know, where you are, like the acceptance and love that you have with your situation. So I trust her journey. I trust her.
Well, to that end, I actually want to, a comment and a question that I want to read to you from Sarah, who remembers watching your story on 16 and Pregnant when she was in college. It's really awesome for you both to be here tonight. She wants to thank you for being open and sharing your story. Now, Sarah says she is an adult adoptee who was relinquished at 3 days old. She's reunited with her biological mother and father in adulthood. To say the least, it's complicated. There are so many feelings. Sarah, we really feel that. We really understand it. We know the weight of that. Her question for you both is, what is your wish, your prayer, your hope for your daughter?
Honestly, me and Ty say this all the time, like, we honestly just whatever makes her happy and whatever makes her feel whole as an adoptee at the end of the day, that's what we want. Whatever that looks like.
I think, and that goes to be like, if that looks like not having any relationship with us or her siblings, that's fine. I just want her to know that she is a whole human being. She is worthy to be here. She is loved. She's cared for, and that she, you know, that she is confident in who she is, in, you know, who she wants to be.
And also too, that like, you know, we will support her in whatever that looks like for her. No matter what that is. And yeah, you know, it's like, of course, like, and me and Ty say too, like, even if she wants to have a relationship with her sisters and doesn't want anything to do with us,
Yeah.
like, we will support whatever it is that she needs to feel as whole as she needs to be. Like, that's what matters the most to us, honestly.
That's beautiful. That's so beautiful. Any other questions that anybody wants to either pop in here into the chat? We should point out too, you can hear more from Kate and Ty on their podcast, Break It Down. You can find it on all the platforms.
Yeah, you can. Anywhere you can listen to podcasts, you can find it.
What season are we in now with the podcast?
No, this is our first. We just
You're
started.
new to the podcaster.
Yes, very new. We're babies.
They're baby podcasters.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have like 37 episodes.
We just
So
started
it's almost a
in-
year.
Yeah,
That's great.
it'll
That's
be a year
fantastic.
in March, and we're just
I was
we
trying to see
love
the
the
exact
journey.
number.
It's great.
I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, but we really honestly started the podcast not only to kind of talk more about our lives behind the scenes and stuff, but also, I mean, our main goal is just to get as many adoptee stories out as possible. So whoever's watching, I'm assuming you're at least interested in adoption. So there's a lot of beautiful adoptee stories on Kate and Ty Break It Down. So many.
We have a birth mom story on there. I would like to get more birth moms too. Like, so, you know, there's definitely other ideas and stuff. And I think it's just the continuation of talking more about adoption.
Like you said, normalizing, making it normal.
Yep. And we do solo episodes too, where we're just like dorks together and talk about, you know, life.
I'll subscribe to that. I like some dork conversation. I really do.
One episode I try to get Ty to let me lick his foot. He freaks out, you know.
Curious.
Check it out. Yeah.
He absolutely hates me.
Well, I just want to say from my heart to yours, thank you. Thank you for being in conversation with me. Thank you for opening your hearts to us here, but also for being willing to do what not many could, right? Not many could. You're speaking a lot for those who can't. The pain is too great. The trauma is too great. Thank you. Thank you, Ty and Kate. And we wish you well. We wish you happiness. We wish you all sorts of peace and grace as you raise that beautiful family of yours.
Thank you, Michaela. We appreciate you so much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Absolutely. Melissa, put your slippers back on your feet. Come back.
Put your slippers back on.
I'm here. Thank you guys so much. We have had so many good discussions, and this was one of my favorites of the day. I love how open you guys are. Thank you again, Michaela, for taking the time. You are wonderful, and you can tell your experience just from every word that comes out of your mouth. Again, I just want to open up the floor. If anybody has any questions, we're going to let Catelynn and Tyler go soon. So you have a few minutes left if you want to pop another question in or raise your little virtual hand here.
Well, if there's no questions yet, Melissa, we want to take the time to thank you so much for putting this together. You're amazing. You do amazing work. I think everyone in the adoptee space could learn something from you. You're humble, you're tenacious, you get it, you know, you are just, we love you. We appreciate you so much, and just thank you for doing this.
Yeah, and you're doing good work. You're doing great.
Thank you. And I just want to remind you guys that we are all growing and learning. I know we've seen Catelynn and Tyler since they were teenagers on TV, but you know, they're not 60, 70, 80 years old with like years and years of wisdom. You guys have been growing up in front of us. And so of course, you know, like we're humans. We're not going to be perfect all the time. Like I say to adoptive parents, you're going to make mistakes. We're all going to make mistakes. As an adoptee who's raising two biological children, like it's been a journey on my own figuring out how to approach these topics of conversations. And one of the main things that I've been focusing on is like openness and creating these building blocks as the kids are young, so these conversations aren't as difficult. So there's like some base level that we can go to. And it's kind of funny sometimes because my kids, they'll go up to their grandmother in public and they'll be like, my mommy has two moms. And they're like, oh, okay, like, are they a lesbian couple? It's like, no, like, it's her birth mom, one's her adoptive mom. And one time my adopted mom who's here watching the kids for us, she walked in the door and then my eldest goes, "Your adoptive mom is here." And she was so offended. I was like, no, you can't say that. Like, that's me.
No. Yeah.
But hey, it does bring up an important conversation though about how it ripple effects. I'm like, I know Allie told us that, which I thought was the first time ever hearing it, but she's like, I realized that my children are technically second generation adoptees. Like I have to explain to them that their grandpa is not why they don't look like their grandpa. Why, and I'm like, whoa,
Yeah,
I
we were
never
like,
thought
wow,
about
it was
that.
mind-blowing. I was like,
Like,
wow,
oh,
you're
yeah.
right. Like,
And
it's
it's funny
crazy.
though, because it's one your kids saying that, like we'll go to the store and Nova or any of our kids will be like, yeah, so my mom,
Strangers, by the way.
My mom gave her baby up when she was young, and so yeah, I have a sister out there, and it's like kids are just so
They'll tell them literally my whole story.
and we're sitting there just like, yeah, it's just yeah.
Yeah, that's us. My husband says that's why we can't tell our youngest like our full address and phone number, because he would give it out to everybody. Like he's like, I'm in this school. I go to this. I'm like, no, please stop.
Yeah.
Kids are funny.
They are hilarious. But yeah, I'm so glad that we had you guys. It's been a rewarding day. I just want to give you guys one more chance. Is there anything else you want to add or talk about? Anything?
And we covered a lot. Michaela was great. We just we're just really appreciative of this. And hopefully this can be like maybe an annual thing, like something that we do. You know what I mean? Keep it going. We're always down to do this again. And yeah, I think hopefully this kind of stuff, these kind of conversations just keep happening more frequently. And so we're just appreciative that this even happened.
Did you guys want to touch upon the documentary that you guys are working on?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Melissa, see? Yeah, so the documentary "All You Have Is Love" by director Lisa Lane Scott, where I'm a producer on it. A lot of good people, a lot of adoptees are producing. This is a very collaborative effort. We're really proud of it. It's we don't have a release date yet, but a lot of big moving parts have been happening recently with it. We're really proud of it. Something that I think the world has been asking for a while, at least from our world. I don't know if the world's ready to hear it yet, but it's gonna hear it regardless. Yeah. So really important project, and I hope it sparks even larger conversations around adoption in this country. So it's really important. Yeah. And Gretchen Sisson, yeah, another fellow producer. I mean, we're all really excited for it. So yeah, keep a lookout for that.
Awesome. As you hear more and are allowed to share more about the release, definitely pass that along and we'll share it within our networks. I am very excited. Just speaking about that, like the All You Have Is Love. Were you guys like approached with that in the beginning when you were considering adoption? Like, because I know it kind of comes from that list of just people saying like, oh, what do you have to offer your child? And like, all you have is love, while this couple can give them Disneyland vacations, they can give them horseback riding lessons and private schools and all that. Was that like something that you guys?
Yeah, that is. Yeah. That's exactly where it came from. One of the birth mothers there, that's one of the things that they told her when she's like, well, listen, they can give her all this, they can give her the baby all this stuff, and you can give them, all you have is love. And it's like, and it's funny because it's like, well, all you have is love. Well, yeah,
I mean, even we had said that when we filled out our pros and cons sheet. It was like, oh, they can give them all. I have love, like all I, like.
And it's weird that it was designed in a way to where us saying a pros and cons list, us saying, well, all we have is love, like, ooh, sorry, almost apologizing for all. That's all I have. And it's like that is part of the coercive kind of funnel they put you into. Like, why would I would love to know how many parents did a pros and cons list before they had the baby they're parenting. Like, Melissa, did you do a pros and cons list before you had your first baby?
But for my first baby, no, but
okay, so that's what I mean as far as like, why are we doing a pros and cons list? They think, oh, well, it's like, stop.
And I'm very pro-choice. I'm very pro-choice too. Yeah, but it's like, for me, it was just wasn't. So
how about we stop that whole like, well, adoption or abortion? There's no or in the middle. Like just get rid of it. Yeah, it's
yeah. But yeah, thank you again. Oh, my husband added that kids don't come with manuals. No, but we do have books for adopted parents now, so if you want to check out mine. But yeah, I think we'll end here. Thank you again. I think we all need to take the night and relax and just recoup from this. Um, Thank you guys. I am going to head out and try to eat some dinner. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. If anybody has any questions, concerns, you can reach out to me, Melissa at adopteethoughts.com. Send me a message on Instagram. Make sure you check out their podcast and the rest of the amazing work that we've shared this wonderful Saturday. I hope you all have a great night and we'll talk soon.
Okay,
Thank you
thanks,
guys
Melissa.
so much.
Thank
Great work,
you.
you guys.
Thank you.